Hey, Zach.
Huh? Yes.
What time is it?
Shh.
Are you telling me to shush?
It's 1:03.
No, stupid. It's time for the Gym Trash Podcast.
Oh, shoot. You're right. Pew, 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 pew.
That I'm definitely going to have to make more quiet. Also, I don't think for like every episode we should say Gym Trash Podcast because eventually that's going to get a little weird. But welcome back. We're the Gym Trash Podcast, and this is now episode 2 of Mysterious Podcast Sex.
Yes. Part 2.
Wow. Okay. So, first off, I'd like to say thank you to the subreddit of Mysterious Girlfriend X, because Go ahead.
The 20 people that listen to us.
Hell yeah. Because it was very nerve-wracking and anxiety-inducing to, like, advertise ourselves in the subreddit, but y'all were so nice. Like, we got a lot of positive attention and, like, feedback. So just thank y'all for being so nice. And at the same time, we're sorry because we decided to get quality mics, or at least budget quality mics. And after listening to how these sound and how the first episode sounded, we are so sorry for subjecting you to such shit quality.
I wonder how far y'all got into it without like being like, nah, I ain't doing this.
Yeah, so hopefully now the audio sounds better, and maybe we won't scare some of y'all away, and you'll maybe be more enticed to listen to our podcast.
Yes, sir.
So now we're picking back up from where we left off. And Zach, do you remember where we left off?
Oh, weren't we just talking about the introduction of Tsubaki getting played? No. Yes?
No. Tsubaki's the player.
Oh, you're right. Urabe getting cheated on.
Hell yeah, that's what we were talking about. That's where we left off. Also, I realized I didn't do this last episode, but spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't finished or doesn't know about the series. Spoiler warning. My bad. It's a little late to do that considering the first episode I talked about most of the first season, or the only season. So I'm sorry about that. That's my bad. But now I'm giving the proper spoiler warning since we're getting into the last bit of season 1 and then moving into specifically from the manga. That's what we're doing in today's episode. And let me tell you, there's a lot, or at least I wrote a lot. So we're going to see how long this episode is. Hopefully it's not too long, so I don't have to edit a lot, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Jared's just lazy.
I'm not lazy. I just don't want episodes to be like 2 hours long, and then people be like, these people are annoying. They need to shut up.
True. We're gonna try to hit that like the 1:30, maybe 1 between that.
And then we're also figuring out a schedule. Maybe try to upload every Tuesday, Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, like
either Tuesday
or Wednesday. Gotcha.
Yeah, probably Wednesday because we're just now recording this and it's Tuesday, April 27th, 2021.
Heck yeah.
Okay, that's enough rambling.
Let's get started.
So, in the last episode, we ended off with Tsubaki having encountered the girl he was, shall we say, in love with in middle school, a Miss Hayaka. I'm still going to be butchering names, my apologies, but I do love this series. Just take my word for it. Okay, so as far as they get is she's already gotten her spit on her finger and she's put it to his mouth. And it looks like he's gonna do it. But just as he's about to close his mouth or stick her finger in his mouth, he gets a flashback to Urabe crying. Remember when Urabe gave Tsubaki some of her spit when he asked her how she would have felt if he had accepted Hayaka's invitation to go get coffee?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So
was that what he felt after he was thinking about it?
Yeah. So as he was about to fully close his mouth and go in on that spit, just go slurp it up, he got a flashback to what was basically the same scene playing out, but now it's just in his head. So he turns that hoe down. He's like, no, I don't like you anymore. I have a bond with Urabe. And then he spills the fact that he has a girlfriend and that he lied to her, which, like, you know, that's a good thing. A little late considering you already told her you don't have a girlfriend, but you know, at least you're doing it now. Better late than never, I guess. So she's like, dang, okay, and then leaves. I mean, they have a little conversation, but it's not that important, and I don't want to cover every little detail because then we'll be here forever. So yeah, and then she leaves. But when she goes home, she like throws herself on her bed, and she's like, I wonder if we were still in middle school, would Tsubaki have, you know, tasted my spit? Because that's a rational thing that everyone will think about.
Oh, I love thinking about if my crush will just like slurp up my spit. You know, like first thing you think about, not about that person's cute, is
if they don't take your spit,
they ain't the one.
But so now she's like obsessed with that, like trying to get Tsubaki to taste her spit. So now she's like, I want that to happen, because she kind of like mentally plays it through her head if they were still in middle school, and she's like, I want to see this come to fruition. I'm gonna make Tsubaki taste my spit,
as one
does.
does.
A real fun time in the world of Mysterious Girlfriend X. So this is when she becomes a bit manipulative. So maybe, what was your take on her character? Because I mean, she was all right. I didn't really like her, but she was all right. She wasn't no Oka, let me put it that way.
What? Okay, I didn't really like her. Just like first introduction, just like, but also, Tsubaki, this is also your fault. Like, can't just blame it all on her. But also, like, you know, did she know that she knew he had a girlfriend?
Clearly, he lied to her when she asked him if he had a girlfriend. But she also reveals to, I think it was to Urabe, or maybe it was like in a self monologue, that she figured he had a girlfriend because if he still cared about her, then even despite the fact that she got a haircut, which she did get a haircut, I don't know if I mentioned that he would have recognized her. But whenever she walked out with her short hair, he had no idea who she was. But like at the same time, come on, girl, not everyone's gonna recognize people when they get haircuts.
Yeah. I personally didn't like Ayaka at all, like throughout the whole series. She slightly got better after all of the drama like subsided, but like still left a dirty taste in your mouth.
It was a little bit of an aftertaste.
And it wasn't the spit.
Anyway, okay, so this is where I guess you could say like her character gets non-redeemable, but then they redeem her later, kind of, sort of, or at least give her like hope for the future. Because this is when she gets really manipulative, and it involves the Culture Festival. So now we're at the Culture Festival arc.
Yeah, why can't we have those in like America? We have like field days.
I was about to say, actually, I have had a Culture Festival, but then I remembered it was in Turkey when I was on base at school. Yeah. So that doesn't count.
Yeah, no, we had one in Korea, but like American like education system needs to,
or at least provide fun times for students. Because we all know school sucks. College sucks.
We hate
Don't
it.
do it.
As I'm currently in a Zoom meeting at the same time as recording.
So, like I said, involves the Culture Festival. Starts the start of the Culture Festival arc. So basically, she manipulates or lies to both Urabe and Tsubaki to try to get them in the same place at the same time, because she's gonna try to test, or she's gonna do the spit thing, because Tsubaki basically explained to her what that bond was between Urabe and him. So she's going to try to test their bond and see if maybe they have a bond, which if they do, like, ooh, get away from him, girl. The girl being Urabe. He's my man now. I gotcha. So the way she tries to get to get them to go to the Culture Festival is first she targets Urabe. And like throughout all of this, she's really antagonizing Urabe. So like we don't like her already because Urabe's waifu. She best girl.
No one antagonizes Urabe and gets away.
So the way she gets Urabe to go to the Culture Festival is she basically just straight up lies that Tsubaki is already going. So she's like, hey, you should come along too, because you're going to see something interesting. Which like come on. Don't do that to people's girlfriends. Or significant others, I should say.
Yeah.
And
Like, maybe if she just wanted to, like, do the whole spit thing with Tsubaki, but, like, why have to get them both just to, like, show it?
it's bad enough, but then when you're trying to antagonize someone to be like, ooh, we're better for each other. But, like, okay, so she did that before even talking to Tsubaki about it. So, like, what if he didn't even agree to go? That would
have been great. If Tsubaki was actually a good boy, but we know he ain't. Yeah. What if Urabe just, like, didn't go?
Sorry, can you say that name again?
Sorry, yeah, I messed up. Like, I stumbled over it.
That was such a great pronunciation. 10 out of 10. Favorite right there.
What if Urabe just, like, did not go to...
Well, she almost didn't, but through some unfortunate circumstances, she does go, and I'll explain those in a second. So the way she gets Tsubaki to go is she basically just calls him in the middle of the night and is like, hey, can you meet me at this telephone booth, which is near your house, which I don't know how she knows where he lives, but sure. And when he gets there, she has a giant bruise on her face, and she basically makes up a story about how her ex came back to her and was like, beat her up and was like, ooh, get back together with me, but I'm gonna beat you up because you said no.
I remember this. I forgot about this. I thought he just went because he's a sucker.
Nah, she tricked him.
He's still a sucker.
Yeah, he's still a sucker. But I mean, at least I guess you could say he had good intentions.
Maybe.
I guess. Because the way she fully gets him is asking him to pretend to be her boyfriend so that maybe her ex will see them together and she'll leave him alone so that they don't have any further issues between the two. Mm-hmm. And at first he's like reluctant about it because like Urabe, he doesn't want to make her jealous. And like I talked about this with my girlfriend, right? Because I did make her watch the season 1, and let me say, she loved it.
She watched it before I did, right?
I think so. I think we watched it together before you sat down to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I talked to her about this. I was like, what if one of my female friends was like, hey Jared, can you pretend to be my boyfriend because my ex has gone psycho? And she's like, and I asked her like, would you be okay with that? And she said, yeah, like as long as you told me what was happening, I'd totally be down for you to do that. It's fine.
I think Tsubaki's problem is he just kept it secret the whole time.
Yeah, like he didn't communicate with everybody to be like, hey, this is happening. Is this okay? Which I mean, I guess I can see from his standpoint, like she gone kind of psycho at him at a few points with this time with her panty scissors, and he didn't want to invoke the wrath of the panty scissors. Which is why he kept it from her. But that's also like one of the major issues that result in a lot of the conflict of the culture festival. So just a little food for thought, Tsubaki, or just people in general. Don't lie to your significant other, especially when it could easily be resolved. So he agrees to go and doesn't tell Urabe. But then during lunch one day, or like the day after, Urabe is talking to Oka, and Oka reveals that she's going to the culture festival with Ueno, when Tsubaki had lied to Urabe, saying that Ueno and him were going shopping downtown on the same day of the culture festival. So Urabe's like, what do you mean you're going with Ueno? Ueno and Tsubaki are going out. Ooh. So Oka just sold him out right there. Just being like, oh, he's lying to you. And again, we don't like Oka because the way she does this in the manga and the anime is like, oh, he lied to you. What's going on there?
Thank you for the microphone close-up. I really needed that in my ears.
I just wanted to whisper into your ear.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's continue.
I'll make sure to make those quiet. So after she finds out that Tsubaki lied, we don't really see like much of a expression change from her, but it cuts to like her preparing on the day of the culture festival. And initially, like, you don't think she goes, but we know she goes.
Yeah, it's you can feel it.
Yeah. So Urabe goes to the festival, and like one of the scenes that they cut out from the manga, which I feel like would have been really good in the anime, was as Tsubaki's entering the culture festival, one of the girls at the front of the gate calls Hayaka and tells her that the boy she was looking for had entered the culture festival because Hayaka had given her pictures of Tsubaki and Uribe and asked her to keep a lookout for them. But at that point, only Tsubaki had entered and Uribe was still nowhere to be seen, which I think would have been a really good scene to keep in the anime just because it would have added, like, I guess you could say, that tension of, oh, did Uribe show up to the culture festival? Because one thing to point about it is that it was a costume. Like a major part of it was to dress up in different costumes. And I do like one of the subtle hints that you know that Uribe has entered it is because as she's saying that, like, this robot box person is walking behind her, and she has and the robot on its one of its cardboard panels has a sticker of, like, is it the bad kitty or the bad cat? Do you remember?
I think it's bad cat, right?
I think it's bad cat. I can't remember 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's bad cat, where it's basically just a black cat with green eyes. Are you looking it up?
I am looking it up. Yeah, bad cat.
Bad cat. Look at me. I'm a fan of Mysterious Girlfriend X. I'm a true fan. No one can say otherwise. And, like, that's one of the main. It was like a main. My English teacher will be so proud. It was a motif throughout the series. So that's
whipping out them big words.
Hell yeah. So that's, like, the big red flag that, oh, maybe that's her. And spoiler alert, it is her, but we'll find out later. So the costume that Hayaka decided to show up in or meet or greet Tsubaki in is basically just their middle school uniform, which I feel like that's kind of manipulative because you're trying to, like, influence his decision making based on dressing up as what you looked like when he had a crush on you.
Trying to invoke emotion. Didn't she have a wig?
Yeah, because
her hair.
She had long hair in middle school, and she recently cut her hair.
Yeah.
So obviously she needs to wear a wig to, like, get that full effect.
Like, if Tsubaki wasn't, like, suspicious or, like, super suspicious, like, gotta rethink everything, Tsubaki.
Yeah. So from there, we get, like, a little montage of them going throughout the culture festival. But at the same time, we get a quick scene of Ueno and Oka at a maid cafe, which basically just makes Ueno jealous because, you know, he doesn't like other boys taking a look at his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But from there, as Oka is trying to, like, get him back because he ran away because he was a little bitch. She sees from across the school. In the glass windows, she sees Tsubaki together with Hayaka, but she doesn't know who that is. So she just sees Tsubaki together with a girl that isn't Uribe, and she's like, "What's up with that? I'ma follow them." And follow them she does. Follows them to the classroom that Hayaka was leading Tsubaki to, which is the same classroom that they shared together in middle school when they did after class duties, because that's a thing in Japan.
Wait, they're at the same school? The middle school? Was this a middle school, like, culture festival?
No, it was a girls' academy.
Oh.
So it wasn't the same classroom. Disregard that.
Okay.
But she set it up to look like it would have in middle school. That's what she did.
Oh.
She cleared the desks and put two desks together, like,
yeah,
the typical to do it at work together.
Yeah.
That's what she did. And then from there, she tries to get him to taste her spit again. And once again, Mr. Tsubaki gets real close to doing it. And then he stops because he thinks about Uribe. Like, come on, boy. Like, gotta have a little more faithfulness than that.
Yeah. Like, gotta hold back a bit. It is what it is. You got a girlfriend.
Gotta think of your girlfriend a little bit more than just, oh, I probably shouldn't stick this girl's finger in my mouth.
How jealous would your girlfriend be if I stuck my finger in your mouth?
Probably not at all.
You'd be like, what the fuck, Zach?
Or she'd be like, well, clearly y'all are gay now, so bye.
I'm a dip.
So as he stops himself, Oka was gonna go in to intervene, but the robot person comes up from behind her and grabs her and tells her to stop, which at this point we can obviously figure out it's Uribe, and so does Oka, because she hears Uribe's voice, which is like pretty distinct, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's pretty distinct in the series. So after Uribe stops Oka, she just waltzes in the classroom and is like, Tsubaki, what you doing? But then she's like, go ahead and do it. Which is like one of the craziest things. Because she realizes that Ayaka just wants to test her bond, but not because she likes Tsubaki, but it's because she's still upset from being broken up with by her ex.
Yeah, which is like the whole plot of a lot of like dramas is just I got broken up with.
That and I'm not over them just yet. So she decides to do like a competition, having blindfolded Tsubaki, and they're gonna take turns putting their finger in the mouth to see if Tsubaki can recognize who's who.
He just blindly accepts.
Yep. But blindly accepts. Ouch. That hurt my ear. That hurt my ear. That's gonna hurt everyone else's.
Whoopee.
So they do a rock, paper, scissors to try to figure out who's gonna go first. So that's like, it's completely random. And of course, Uribe wins because, you know, you gotta keep Tsubaki's not having tasted other girls' spit for until the later arc, which we start in the end of this one. No, the beginning of the next one, I think.
My favorite arc.
It is my favorite arc too. Like, I love the idol arc.
Yeah.
It's probably the best one. But I haven't finished Volume 5, so I don't know about the movie arc, which some people have said is pretty good too. So we'll see about that one.
Gotcha.
So, Uribe goes first. She puts the spit in his mouth, and he immediately gets a nosebleed. And he's like, the blindfold didn't help. That's clearly Uribe. She's clearly naked under those boxes. Which of course she is, because why wouldn't she be?
Yeah, you have to throw in the nudity. Like, if you don't, is this really a romance comedy?
If there's no fan service, it's a 0 out of 10 romance anime.
Yeah, my anime list ratings would be like
it would plummet without the fan service.
Mm-hmm.
So after he says that, we see her patented panty scissors be stabbed through the box. Which at this point, was she just carrying them? Or did she purposely make a compartment inside the costume to hold her scissors?
She just has like a little strip of scotch tape holding it on.
Maybe. And through some glorious fashion, she cuts that box to smithereens, and it just slow motion falls as she's twirling her scissors all badass.
Remember, this is only because she's athletic. It's not because she's magic or anything.
Yeah, it's not because there's any supernatural aspects or anything like that. She's just very, very athletic. Like, you too could do this one day, maybe. You just gotta get athletic enough.
Yeah.
Start running. Start
scissor wielding, and we're good.
Start carrying scissors around with you. But only if you tuck them into your underwear lining. Only that one.
And maybe
only
if you
then
get the occasional tan line.
Oh, hell yeah. So, after seeing the fact that she's naked, Hayaka's like, oh, well, clearly I'm going to get naked too. We're just going to get naked all around. Maybe that'll give the same effect or better.
Tsubaki, join in.
So she strips, because
why not?
Because any rational person would.
At a cultural festival. Where everyone's
at a culture festival in front of a window.
Yep.
But it's okay. They're on like the second or third floor. Who's gonna see, right? So but as she's going to put her spit in his mouth, she starts crying. I don't remember the reason why, even though I did say I would reread the volumes. I did.
Wasn't it because she remembered her like ex or something?
Maybe, but basically, Uribe takes the spit instead. And it's like, wow, your spit's real sour, but kind of sweet. So Uribe uses her knowledge of spit to be like, that just means you have a good romance for you in the future. Stop laughing.
Sorry. Okay.
But then as all that's going down, Tsubaki was shaking his head because he's like, my current girlfriend and my current
Crush.
yeah, thank you.
Ex-crush? Current ex-crush.
Current ex-crush, sure, are in front of me naked, and I can't see because I'm in a blindfold. So he's quote unquote accidentally shaking his head, but like, was he doing it on purpose?
I thought he was just shaking his head because he's like shocked at what's happening in front of him.
Maybe, but like at some point you have to also think that he might have done it because he wanted the blindfold to fall.
True, because who wouldn't?
Maybe. Did you write? Who wouldn't want to see Urve when you're the same age?
Yes, when it's legal.
Only when it's legal. So his blindfold falls off, and Oka sees this, but they're still like talking, Urve and Hayaka. So he's just standing there staring at them, as any teenage boy would. Until Oka comes in and is like, "Hey, his blindfold fell off," and then they both slap him really hard.
Oh, I remember. Didn't it like leave the prints? And then he's just on the floor.
Yeah, he's on the floor, and Oka makes a note to point out how happy he looks because he got to see Urve and Tsubaki and Hayaka naked. So after this follows like a very interesting manga only scene, and I could see why they cut it out because it's not that important. But basically, after Oka, Urve, and Tsubaki leave, Ayaka's ex apparently saw them going into the classroom, which like great timing for him to come after they all leave and not during.
Yeah.
But he walks in and he's like, "Hey, I saw you coming in here with another guy. What's up with that? I miss you. Come back together with me."
And then they just do.
Well, they do, but because he's like, "Oh, I didn't love the ex-girl that my ex. I still love you." Because I think the reason they broke up is because Hayaka thought that he didn't love her and that he was still in love with her ex or his ex, which he says is not the case. So Ayaka's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna test to see if we have a bond." So she tells him to close her eyes, and then she takes off her panties, and then she sticks her finger in her mouth, and then she sticks it in his mouth, and what do you know?
It's sweet.
He gets a nosebleed.
Oh, we had two different things. Just cut mine out.
I mean, they're basically the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'll just leave it in. But yeah, so it turns out they have a bond, which I guess is just to like indicate that, oh yeah, she'll have a future of love, which that's nice, I guess. Like closing up loose ends.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as an aftermath to the culture festival, we meet back up with Tsubaki and Urve after class one day, and Tsubaki's all sorts of whacked out because he got to see Urve naked, and I mean, like, wouldn't you be too?
True. If you got to see your girlfriend and your ex crush same time, like your brain's gonna be all types of weird for the next week.
Yeah. And Urve's like, "What the heck? Why are you acting all funky?" So this smart girl decides to taste his spit, and then she gets all out of whack because she's feeling the same emotions he does now.
I remember this. Like they're walking home, and he's like, he can't really look at her.
Yeah, because every time he looks at her, he envisions her being naked again.
Yeah, and then she has some of his spit, and then like runs away. Is that the same scene?
No.
Whoops.
It's because then Tsubaki tries to like hug her because he's got urges that he's got to meet.
Yeah.
And then while he's trying to do that, she whips out the penny scissors like normal.
Gotcha.
Like normal. But because she's all out of whack, her aim's really off, so she ends up slicing his forehead.
Yeah.
Which I kind of have to question how that happened. Like, I feel like a lot more damage should have been done than just
like one little like
straight
flow.
line cut on her forehead. Yeah. So she feels really bad about it, and then she takes him to her house where she wants to patch him up. And while she's patching him up, she like goes around the house to try to test her aim again. So she tries to cut up a picture frame, but ends up cutting the curtains behind it. Which, like, also it's a question: why are you just gonna go around your own house cutting things up? Because how are your parents gonna react to that?
Yeah. Tapes it back up.
Yes, sir. So, what happens next is because she left out the first aid supply. Okay.
Why are you laughing?
You know why. So because she left out the first aid supplies like on the floor in front of her bed. Both of them or one of them, I think Tsubaki trips. Might be both of them. And like Uribe falls back onto her bed and Tsubaki's falling.
Doesn't want to hit her, just bonks.
Doesn't want to land on her because he thinks that she's gonna whip out the panty scissors. So this boy, if he has enough time to put his foot down to change direction, you'd think he'd have enough time to catch himself.
Yeah, like put your arms out, you're good.
Yeah, or at least, be aware of where you're changing directions.
Put the other foot down.
Yeah, because he changes directions mid-fall. But he changes it straight to her bedpost. So he just knocks himself on the corner of her bedpost.
And this is like the metal frame, right? Like no longer like the wooden.
She's got a metal. Yeah. And she's like, what the heck? Why'd you do that? Why didn't you just land on top of me like any normal human? So after Tsubaki gets up from, doing a bonk bonk on a metal frame, which is never a fun time. Uribe like hugs him, like one of those. He's crouching, and she like hugs him.
Oh yeah, and he gets this like big whiff of just like boobies.
Yeah, he gets what's never gonna happen to you, just a face full of boobs.
Rude.
And she tells him that if it's to prevent him from getting hurt, then he doesn't have to worry about like trying to avoid throwing his arms over her, even though like when you're falling, that's not really throwing your arms on them, like hugging them. That's just you falling.
Kind of just.
Yeah. So I feel like her ideology there is a little flawed, but you know what? We'll just ignore it because it's Uribe.
She's never wrong, right?
You're right. She's always right. She's always the first pick of girls. You never cheat on her.
Tsubaki's always wrong.
As it is in real life, the boy is always wrong.
Hey, it's true.
So after this event is the start of my favorite arc. It's the start of the idol arc.
Yes, this is my favorite arc.
It's pretty good, just saying.
So you said some people said the movie arc's also like pretty good. I don't remember the movie arc.
I haven't read Volume 5 because I was trying to find a physical copy, which is damn near impossible. So I'm probably just going to buy the digital version on Amazon and read it that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I'll read that before we record next time.
Yeah, I think it just like disappeared from my mind. But the idol arc, let's go. Favorite arc.
So the way the idol arc starts off is Ueno sees Uribe. We're using quotation marks here, people, just because you can't see us. Uribe in quotes at the train station, because it's not Uribe, obviously. It's really Imai Momoka with dyed hair. And if you don't remember who Imai Momoka is, it's the idol that Uribe's classmates thought looked like her. Tsubaki kind of fangirled over because they look the same.
He bought the book and everything.
Yeah, he bought her photo book, and then Uribe got super jelly and destroyed that.
And he bought another one.
Yes, sir. So, Ueno sees who we know is Imai Momoka dropkick someone, which is like the funniest thing. They both have like their forms of weapons or their form of violence. Uribe is the panty scissors. Imai Momoka is dropkicking people.
Yeah, doesn't she have like oh, I forgot what it's called, but it's like an undergarment with like springs to keep her from like kicking.
Yeah, it's something that's part of her undergarments, and it's to like restrain her legs so she can't like just randomly kick people. But they point out how she's gotten so good at undoing it, so she has like full range with her legs that it's like pointless now.
Yeah.
Which just makes it better. Yeah. So after Ueno sees wannabe Urbe dropkick someone, he tells Tsubaki about it. And Tsubaki's like, what the heck? I know she's violent, but she's never been that violent. I better not get on like her even better side, because it's one thing to get swiped out with scissors. It's another thing to get full on drop kicked.
True. Both at the same time? You kind of...
That's the 1-2 combo for a good old knockout.
You're right.
So Tsubaki's heading home from school after Ueno tells him about this, and he sees Momoka at the bookstore where he bought her book. So obviously he thinks it's Urbe because he doesn't know that Imai Momoka is in town or pretending to be Urbe. So he keeps trying to call her Urbe to try to get her attention because he's like, "Hey, what are you doing in here? We gotta go home and swap spit, just not in the physical way." Yeah, gotta do their routine. So she doesn't respond to Urbe because obviously she doesn't know. She doesn't know the name that she's of the person she's like. What's the word?
Doppelganging.
I don't think it's impersonating.
That's it.
She doesn't know the name of the person she's impersonating. And he immediately notices something's off with her because Imai Momoka is extremely like way more extroverted than Urbe is because she's very introverted, which just makes her even better.
We love shy girls.
Oh, shy girls, best girls. And another thing that he's like, what is obviously like they're not very open about their relationship, but they do call each other or on occasion like, "Hey, I'm your boyfriend. Hey, I'm your girlfriend." Like it's confirmation sort of. But instead, Imai Momoka calls Tsubaki a classmate. She's like, "Oh, you're one of my classmates," and he's like, "Bitch, what?"
Can you imagine if like your girlfriend just started calling you like
buddy,
coworker
pal,
or something instead of like?
I'd just be like, "Hey, what's going on with that?"
Yes.
Yeah. So we find out that Imai Momoka is there because she wants to swap with Urbe. And the only reason she knows that Urbe exists is because one of her classmates actually mailed Imai Momoka's manager a picture of Urbe and was like, "Hey, we have someone in our school that looks exactly like you. Just your hair color is different." Because Imai, I want to keep saying her full name, but it takes so long. So I'm probably just going to stop saying Imai Momoka and just say Momoka.
Yeah.
Yeah. That they look the same except the hair, because Momoka has brown hair, whereas Urbe has blue hair. Which quick side note. Gotta love the fact that the main heroine here has blue hair, because in all the other anime series, the blue hair girl gets shafted.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. They don't. I'm just saying, the blue hair girls don't get their love interests in other anime.
That is true.
Big sad, but Urbe. That's why she's best girl.
You know, this anime manga
series,
I guess it's just. Sorry, I'm eating a Snickers. Give me a second.
I'm leaving that in.
Okay. It's just breaking all the boundaries.
Hell yeah, dude! It was revolutionary, ahead of its time.
You're
That's
right.
why it's not as popular, because things that are ahead of its time always get hidden.
True. Wait, when did this come out?
The English volumes were published in 2006. No. Yes. No. Yes. I don't know. The original manga was published in 2006, and the anime adaptation was in 2012.
I feel like if this was like published like this year or last year, like everyone would be on it.
The amount of jokes that'd be like Corona, because
you're right.
Swap and spit.
You're right.
So I don't know about that one. So anyways, yeah, so they look identical besides the hair. So Urbe sees. So Tsubaki and Mamoka are walking home now because obviously he thinks that she's Urbe, and Urbe spots this and goes like, "Bitch, what you doing? That's my man. You may look like me, but girlfriend."
You right. That's
Not
exactly
like
how
that,
she's going
but
to react.
basically like that.
Who doesn't react like that?
You're right. So she tries to intervene, but Momoka just kind of, drop kicks or attempts to drop kick Urbe, but she misses and hits Tsubaki, so he gets knocked out.
He wakes up to two of them.
No, not now. Urbe confronts Momoka after she knocks out Tsubaki, so they go to the bushes, or like, you know how like oftentimes in this series they'll like go to the park, but they're not in the park; they're like surrounded by trees.
Yeah.
They go, yeah. I'm just gonna call that the bushes. They go to the bushes,
The brush.
in case Tsubaki wakes up. And at that point, they like have a mini fight because,
why the fuck you kick me?
no, because Momoka unleashes her drop kick, and Urbe goes for the scissors. So, Momoka does manage to like slightly knock out Urbe. But Urbe also manages to cut up all of her clothes. And when I say all of, I mean like all of. I don't know how she hit the undergarments, but she did.
Which outcome was better?
I don't know. But yeah. So now you have Urbe laying on the floor, temporarily unconscious, and an idol standing above her, completely naked.
A power move.
Is there? So then Momoka starts feeling up Urbe because what else are you supposed to do with an unconscious girl in front
Who
of
has
you?
bigger boobs than you but looks exactly the same?
Yes, and that's like the second defining feature between the two of them is that Momoka has smaller boobs, which she does like express the envy while she's feeling up Urbe, and Urbe has the larger boobs, which even better. Not really though, but even better. So after Urbe wakes up, she's like, "What are you doing? Why are you touching me?" But then she takes her to her house,
as one does after being knocked out.
Well, you can't just leave her there naked, so you gotta provide her clothing. And since they're basically the same figure, their clothes will fit mostly, which comes into play later. So Momoka tells Urbe that the reason why she's there, that she wants to switch with Urbe so Urbe can do her performance that's coming up. And Urbe is like, "No, I don't want to go." Because reasonable.
Yeah,
it's very
valid.
Reasonable. Yep. But like the reason she uses to try to get out of it is her bond between Tsubaki with the spit. So now Momoka's like, "Well, I want to see proof of this bond, and if you can show me proof, I'll stop asking for you to switch with me." So she agrees, and what she does is she decides to one day write in something. I don't know what. They don't really explain what it is, but I'm just going to assume it's body paint, because what else is it going to be? Lipstick?
Oh, you're right. I forgot about this.
You forgot about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm just going to no longer say I forgot about this.
So she writes "I love Tsubaki" with like a heart all over like her front body from like chest down to waist, and big bolded text. And she has Momoka hiding in the brush so that when they do the routine, she sees Tsubaki's nosebleed. And then she goes to the brush for, I don't remember how she like managed to get away from Tsubaki. Maybe she just came back after they both went their separate ways. But Momoka's like, "How did that happen? Why did his nose just start randomly bleeding?" So then Urbe strips and shows her, like, "This is what I wrote on my body, and our bond through spit lets me convey emotions that are otherwise unsaid." So Momoka gets pretty jealous.
Momoka's just not confused. She's just like, makes sense. That's just how it is.
Yep, she's like, "Makes sense to me." So then she gets pretty jealous of the relationship. So the following day, while Urbe is like in the shower, Momoka snatches Urbe's clothes or her school uniform so she can meet up with Tsubaki and try to do the ritual to see if maybe they have a bond. Because if they do, she wants to steal. She wants to be Mr. Steel Man. What?
Thank you.
You're welcome. But because Momoka has stolen Urabe's clothes, that kind of leaves Urabe without anything. So she wears the outfit that Momoka was wearing the day prior, which somehow is intact again. Don't ask me.
She sewed it back up. Every single shred.
Yep, all the fine fibers.
Yep.
So as she's leaving her building, is the exact time that Momoka's manager in his car is like driving by. So he slams on the brake and he just snatches her away, shoves her in the back of the car, and drives off.
Because that's what you do. Like, even if this was the right person, even if this was Momoka, you're supposed to just like push in car, leave. You know, no one's gonna be confused.
Yep. just kidnap your employees. It'll work out.
Yeah.
So while this is going, while that's happening, Momoka is with Tsubaki to try to do the ritual, and like she does it. He does, you know, do the spit. So that kind of proves that if he did another girl spit, it's not going to break the bond between him and Urabe. But it's not sweet at all. Well, it's a little sweet, but it's mostly just normal spit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, what the heck? Why does that happen?
Does this count as cheating on Tsubaki's part?
Does it, though? Because he's not intentionally doing it.
True.
But after that, she, like, leans forward and tries to do it again. And he gets a nosebleed. So she thinks they have a bomb. But then he just explains that it was a little sweeter. But the reason he had a nosebleed was because he could see down her shirt because Momoka is wearing Urabe's clothes, so it's a lot bigger in the chest area. Yeah. So when she's leaning down, it's just leaving nothing to the imagination.
Love.
Yeah.
And then she drop kicks him.
I think she does. Either that or slaps him. One of the two. But the slap would be easier to explain, because how are you going to explain just drop kicking someone afterwards?
It happened before.
I mean, you're not wrong. So after that, we cut back to Urabe with the manager, and this is when Urabe gets assaulted by the manager, because he's like, wow, you do look just like the person you found, but the boobs are all wrong. Why'd you put so much padding? And then he grabs her boobs.
Feels up Urabe. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. He was gonna do that to Momoka.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, even if they were padded, you don't just grab someone's chest, especially if they're your employee and underage.
This man brave. He going for the person that he knows can drop kick him.
Yeah. Basically. And she does go for her scissors, which is like the main proofing factor that it really isn't Momoka.
She doesn't have them.
Yeah, because she doesn't have the restraint, and I'm pretty sure she has the scissors. Yeah, she has the scissors. But she doesn't have the restraint that Momoka would have been wearing otherwise. And I want to say there's the stylists, the two females that work with Momoka. Do you remember them?
Yeah, I feel like one is like a stylist and one might be like an assistant manager type thing.
Yeah, or like a stylist, like makeup and hair wise, and then the other one is the clothing person.
Makes sense. Doesn't really tell us, but it's not too important.
Yeah, it's not that important. But they do point out the fact that she doesn't have the restraint, and point out that even if it's no longer useful because she knows how to undo it so much, she would never like go without wearing it. So they're like, yeah, that's not Momoka. You just assaulted a girl. We're gonna call the cops on you. You're gonna go to the jail.
You goddamn pervert.
He's a pervert. No, that doesn't happen. But they do point out that, yeah, that's not Momoka.
Yeah.
So after that, they have to kind of try to convince her to do Momoka's press conference because it's like just about to happen, but they don't have enough time to go down to find her. Mm-hmm. So she reluctantly agrees to do it, and they swap her into the outfit, which somehow fits. I don't know how.
Maybe they altered it.
Because again, chest size different, so it should be like stuff should be popping out. Is all I'm saying.
Right.
But it doesn't. It fits perfectly. And then they tuck her scissors into, I think, part of like a garter on the leg, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look back at the image, but I don't want it right now.
Mm.
So she goes out in front of the news press and she does like a twirl, just a very fast twirl, and then strikes a pose, and then everyone's super impressed.
Like, dang, she kind of cool now.
Like, dang, she can do a ballerina twirl into a superhero crouch down pose. That's why she's our favorite idol.
You're right.
And that's the end of Volume 3. So now we move on to Volume 4. And the way the Volume 4 starts is it kind of like replays what Irve did for the news conference, but now it kind of cuts it to Momoko and Tsubaki. Tsubaki's not there currently though. And we see Momoko, who sees her performance for the news, and she gets mega jelly of the attention that Irve is getting from people at the bookstore. She's like, that ain't me. I'm me. And she
that ain't Momoko.
I'm Dirty Dan. So she goes and just swipes like a boombox from the owner of the bookstore.
As one does.
Yeah, because one does just have a boombox on display. I mean, maybe in
at a
2012
bookstore.
he did. True.
Maybe he's playing like the music for the shop, like
instead of on a surround sound, not a surround sound, but like a speaker system.
Yeah, this is like an old bookstore
in 2012,
2006. If the mangas were in there.
Oh shoot, you right. So the boombox makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
So she does like a miniature performance for people, just passerbyers of the bookstore outside the bookstore with the boombox. So a large crowd is obviously going to form around her. And then this is where Tsubaki comes in, because he gets mega jealous. He gets mega jelly of the attention that who he thinks Irve is getting. So he tries to like snatch her away from the group, and they get real mad at him because they think it's Imai Momoka, which it is, because she said, "I'm the real Imai Momoka." So he's like, "No, it's not. And this is what he says exactly. He proclaims, "She's my girlfriend," and then they run off.
Yes,
because you gotta get away from the crowd.
True, like crowds are scary.
Crowds are kind of scary. This is why we're introverted. But can we really say that when we're doing a podcast?
Hey, we're talking to each other and maybe like 20 other people.
True.
Actually, no, 16, because 4 of those views were probably from me.
So, Tsubaki gets mad at who he thinks is Irve, because in his mind, he thinks that Irve is impersonating Momoka. So he's like, "Hey, you don't have to pretend to be this model that this model or idol that I was idolizing. You don't have to get jealous of her because I like Irve, quotation marks, more, and there's no need for you to be jealous." Which he does bring up the 2 books, because he did buy 2 of her photo books, but Irve also destroyed both of them. I don't think I talked about how she destroyed the second one. But the way she destroyed the second one is that Oka was like, "Hey, have you checked under Tsubaki's bed? Because that's where they keep their porn mags." So she invites herself to Tsubaki's house, and then looks under his bed, and finds A, porn mags, but also B, the second photo book of Imai Momoka.
Which one's worse?
I don't know, but she destroys both of them. And then he comes back into his room to just like it being covered in paper shreds, which looks like confetti. So that's pretty funny. But yeah. But after he mentions the photo book, Imai explicitly says, "Mikoto was jealous of me," which I feel like should have been a red flag for Tsubaki, that's not Irve.
But we know Tsubaki ain't the brightest.
He ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. But come on now, who talks about themselves in third person?
True.
Yeah. So after that, Momoka asks, like, hypothetically, if Uribe and Momoka had swapped places, and you had the ability to break up with Uribe and date Momoka, who would you choose? And he says, drum roll please,
Momoka.
Shoot. No, he says Uribe because Uribe is the best girl, obviously.
You're right.
So after that, she gets him to try her spit again, and it's kind of sweeter than last time, which improvement, I guess. Ooh.
Tsubaki cheating.
Well, he still thinks it's Uribe, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that because he's stupid, it doesn't count.
Oh, you're right. Okay, wait. So, like, the whole sweetness thing with this bit kind of signifies, like, the bond, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, does this mean there's a bond between them, and if so, why? Is it just because he thinks it's her?
Probably.
Okay.
Because it's from both sides, which that could be why it's kind of sweet, because he does think it's Uribe. So there's like half a bond, but not really a bond, you know?
A bondless bond, I got you.
Yep, unrequited bond.
You're right.
So after Tsubaki's like, yeah, it's kind of sweet, but still not as sweet as usual, Momoka invites Tsubaki on a date to her own concert, which is kind of funny.
You think she had to pay for the tickets, or she was just like, hey, manager, I'm coming in?
I feel like she either had the tickets already or was able to get them for free, because it's like, it's your own concert. How are you going to pay for your own concert?
True.
Actually, isn't it a thing where people have like, if you're like running the event, you have like X amount of tickets you can give out for free?
Oh, yeah. I
feel like that's a thing.
Yeah.
So Tsubaki agrees to go with Momoka to her concert. And when after that happens, Momoka calls like the manager and is like, hey, I'm alive. Sorry for bailing on you. And she asks to talk to...
Sir, is that your phone?
To Uribe. That is my phone. My bad. Let me silence that real quick. It's not my phone. It's my iPad.
Oh.
Okay,
wait. Why is your iPad on?
Because that's what I'm using to look at the notes.
Oh, I got you.
So after she calls the manager, she asks to speak to Uribe and is like, hey, you perform for the first half of the concert, and then at halftime we'll do a little switchy, and I'll perform the second half because I'm bringing Tsubaki. And she's like, hell no, you better get over here now and perform all of your concert. To which she just hangs up.
Yes.
Momoka's like, later.
Power move.
Yeah, that is the biggest power move right there. Get someone to perform half of your concert for you.
Do you think Urabe got paid for this? Do you think she
know.
got compensated?
I feel like she should have gotten some form of compensation, but I doubt it. Just because like it's not that important to write into the story.
True.
So now Uribe's kind of stuck having to perform in Momoka's stead. But of course, she got the jitters, because who wouldn't? You're impersonating a very popular model, and you've never done something like this, but now you just kind of been thrown into it.
Yep.
So Momoka's manager gives Uribe a piece of advice that he first gave Momoka to try to help her calm her like pre-show jitters. And what he would say is like, just imagine that somewhere in that crowd
is Tsubaki.
Yes, but no. Somewhere in that crowd is your future boyfriend. So perform like you're performing for your boyfriend. But since, obviously Uribe has a boyfriend, he says instead, imagine, we already know that Tsubaki's out there somewhere, so just imagine that everyone is Tsubaki. And then it just shows a page of everyone in the crowd being Tsubaki, and it's kind of creepy.
We love.
Yep. So they go to the concert, and then during Uribe's performance, or half of her performance, she does like the pose that they do for their routine, but she like licks her finger prior, and then like sticks it out, and just strikes the pose, and Tsubaki's nose starts to bleed, and that just shows like that their bond can go over distance, I guess. But because he thinks Imai Momoka is Uribe, he tries to like wipe it up so she doesn't get jealous, which is kind of funny. So after that, they switch. It goes to halftime, and and Momoka and Uribe switch so that the Momoka can perform the second half of the concert. But Uribe doesn't immediately show up next to Tsubaki, so Momoka has some time to perform and get like the crowd hyped up. So while Uribe is gone, Tsubaki starts screaming, "Hyaki, you're so cute," which Hyaki is gonna be her real name, and that's at the exact moment that Uribe comes back. So he's like, "Ah,
Shit.
I done been caught in the act," and it's, yeah. She's not too bothered by it though, but that's just pretty funny that he got caught right as he was proclaiming how cute the other idol was. So after the concert is over, Uribe asks Tsubaki which half of the concert he thinks was better, because obviously she performed half and Imai Momoka performed half. And he says that he thinks that the first half of the concert was more. He doesn't actually give an answer as to which half was better. Now that I think about it, but he says that the first half was more vivid, which he connects to the fact that he got a nosebleed from quote unquote Imai Momoka doing the pose of the routine. And I say quote unquote because of course he thinks that Imai was the one who performed all of it and Uribe was next to him the entire time. But during the first half, he got the feeling that Imai Momoka was actually Uribe, or that it seemed like Uribe was doing the performance. But he didn't want to tell Uribe that, because that's obviously a bit of a weird thing to tell your significant other.
Yeah.
And he also didn't want to make Uribe jealous. But then he says that the second half of the concert was more fun, which makes sense because Imai Momoka is actually an idol, so she performs regularly, so she knows how to like hype up the crowd, you know?
Yeah. Okay, wait. So was Uribe like actually singing, or was she lip syncing? I don't remember this part.
No, she was actually singing.
Okay.
She was actually singing, because when she took Momoka to her house, they like did a mini concert, and
I remember that.
They found out that Uribe like is a pretty good dancer and she knows how to sing.
When Momoka was like, "Yes, I am switching out with you," and
Yup. So after like everything's back to normal and Tsubaki's at school again, Imai Momoka goes to visit Tsubaki, but as Imai Momoka, her hair is still. She's wearing a wig now because she dyed her hair back to brown. But while she's visiting him, they go home and almost do the routine, but instead, Imai Momoka tries to kiss Tsubaki. And
brave.
And while that's happening, Uribe is walking up on them, and she sees Momoka trying to make some moves, and she's like, "Oh hell to the nah!" So she throws her like bag at Momoka, which does hit her in the head. And then Tsubaki's like, "Whoa, there's two of them." And then Momoka drop kicks Tsubaki again on accident, and he's knocked out unconscious again.
Just involuntary drop kicks. What can we say?
Yeah. So while he's unconscious, Imai Momoka and Uribe are talking, and Uribe tells Momoka about how she asked Tsubaki which part he thought was better, and like his explanation for both sides. So Momoka basically responds by telling Uribe that Uribe won as a girlfriend, but that she won as the idol, which
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense entirely. So after Tsubaki wakes up, he thinks because he did get he did see both of them before he got knocked out. So he thinks that Imai Momoka was there, and he tries to question Uribe about it, but she basically just responds that it doesn't matter. And then she says one of the corniest and cheesiest lines throughout this entire series, but it's so adorable and I love it. Because she responds with, "A girlfriend is a boy's one and only idol."
Oh, that's so cute.
It's the cheesiest line ever, but it is so cute.
The build-up was worth it.
It was. That's basically the conclusion to the idol arc as well. And Zach, that's something you'll never hear from a girl.
Why are you just like using this podcast only to make fun of me?
We've only had 2 episodes. That's not.
Hey, and we're
just
gonna have
easy.
another, probably a part 3 for this, and you're probably gonna keep making them jokes.
We're definitely gonna have a part 3. We might have a part 4,
Yeah.
depending on how long this goes on and the next one goes on. It might be like a mini episode to just finish out the series. But then after that, you're up for to be the host to talk about whatever you want, and then you can make fun of me.
True.
I can't wait till I'm the co-host and I just get to sit there and randomly make remarks and go like, "Yep, I agree."
You're welcome. My job is easy right now.
Yeah, I can't wait till we switch.
You seem like you're having fun though.
Yeah, mostly because it's just my voice. So I said that was basically the conclusion to the idol arc, and it is. But they show like a quote unquote post credits scene of the idol arc, and it's basically just Imamoka at another concert. So I don't know like how far apart these events are, because obviously I don't know when you'd plan another concert and do it. But she basically does the same thing that Urabe did to Tsubaki, which is like she licked her finger and did the pose for the routine to try to reach out to maybe her boyfriend or future boyfriend in the crowd, or if they're watching it televised. And then it cuts to a silhouette of a boy with a nosebleed. And what I think is interesting is that from behind, the silhouette of the boy kind of looks like a doppelganger of Tsubaki, which is a little interesting.
Can you imagine if like 2 doppelganger pairs together?
That would be pretty wild. I think the universe would just implode on itself. So now we get to like one of my favorite, or no, I wouldn't say favorite, but it's a pretty good filler, quote unquote episode. It's a filler chapter basically.
Yeah.
And it involves Ueno, some raw bacon, and some cat ears.
We love boy meat cat ears. The combo.
So Ueno, love that man, kind of, sort of. He's all right. He's got some cat ears in his backpack.
Just as one does.
Yep, because you just gotta randomly bring cat ears to school.
Do you not hold cat ears?
No, unfortunately, I don't own a pair of cat ears. It's hard to believe I know, but
dang.
I don't. So Tsubaki finds the cat ears in the backpack, or in Ueno's backpack, because he had to look for something. And he basically has to hold on to them because Ueno's like super embarrassed about the fact, and now everyone's around them, so they can't so Tsubaki can't like give it back to him, so he can put it back in his backpack. But later, Tsubaki questions him like, "Hey, why do you just randomly have cat ears?"
Good question.
So to be fair, it is a good question. So now Ueno basically just tells him like the reasoning for why he has cat ears, and it's basically because during one of Ueno's and Oka's tutoring sessions at Oka's house, they decided to get snacks. So Oka brings him like normal snacks, but then she just chows down on some raw bacon. And he's like, "Why are you just chowing down on raw bacon? You kind of look like a carnivore, or an animal." Sorry. So her response to that is to go off to another room and come back with cat ears.
Valid response.
It is a valid response. And she just starts eating the raw bacon with cat ears and is like, "There, now I'm actually an animal."
And this is why we like Oka.
Sorry, I still don't like Oka. I'll admit this filler is funny, but I still don't like Oka. Y'all can flame me all you want.
I don't think we can be friends. I think this is the end.
This is the end of the Gym Trash podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well. At least we can finish
1.5 episodes in. And we already disbanded.
Wow. That's pretty short-lived. So now between Oka and Ueno, they have a rule where anytime that Oka eats raw bacon, she has to wear cat ears. So basically, Ueno just bought cat ears to give to Oka, which is so weird. But
great.
now Tsubaki, as he normally does, after hearing Ueno talk about something about their relationship with Oka, he wants to see Urube eat raw bacon with cat ears on. So because he has the cat ears in his backpack, he's like, well, I have them, so maybe I just need to get her to eat raw bacon, and then I can be like, hey,
I have cat ears.
Yep, like, hey, you want to try some cat ears with that bacon?
Does not explain why he has cat ears on the ready.
I mean, he does, but not until after she gets raw bacon and like confusingly eats it, and then a cat comes out, and so she gets distracted and is playing with the cat, and then he slips on the cat ears, but she doesn't notice, and he doesn't tell her until they've already walked from the park to the routine area, passing by several cars and a pedestrian. So now she's just been out in public with cat ears, and he's like, yeah, you have cat ears on. And then he basically just tells Urube the same story that Ueno told him. And she asks if he thinks that cat ears look cute on her, to which obviously they do. Maybe we'll post the picture that they in the manga of her with cat ears because it's pretty cute. Just saying.
Yes, I concur.
Thank you for your simple response, co-host.
You're welcome, host.
So Urube's like, you better be careful, otherwise I'm going to become the cat monster. And then again, she whips out the painty scissors and again cuts him, but this time she doesn't freak out about it. She just licks the blood.
Oh, I remember that. That was a hot ass scene.
If you say so. That's just very weird. So after this, after that filler, comes in another filler, sort of, because it does set up something. But it has to do with Suwano, which I probably butchered that name, but all you fans out there know who Suwano is, because she's also in contention for waifu for some people. But I mean, I feel like she doesn't have enough quote unquote screen time to like, what's the word?
I don't know.
To validate that reasoning, but you know, maybe she's more prevalent in volumes 5 and 6, so I'll get back to you on that.
Gotcha.
But they basically compare the two different like eyes, because Urube has more steely eyes that glare because they're slanted upwards, and Suwano has more soft more soft eyes because they slant downwards. So Oka's like, you best be careful because Suwano's got them soft eyes, and boys, they be suckers to them soft eyes. Which that's important because Tsubaki had to stay after class with Suwano because they're both like the class representatives. So they have to do things sometimes together after class. So he gave Urube the signal to go home without him. But when she looked up, she had like a mad glare, like staring daggers at him, but it's just because that's how her eyes were. So while they're doing their representative duties after class, they're walking down a corridor, and Suwano asks him on a date, right? And initially he remembers like how Urube looked when he gave her the signal, so he says no.
Good boy.
But then, funny you say good boy, because then Suwano gives him the puppy eyes. He's like, well, if you insist.
If I have to.
Yeah. Which is, yeah. But then whenever he goes home, he's like, I shouldn't have said yes. That was a big boo-boo on my part. So he tries to call her to be like, hey, I can't go. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say yes. But she doesn't answer any of his calls. So he has to go Sunday to the movies, or to their meetup spot for the movie, which was the date, and return the ticket to her.
Mm-hmm.
which is basically when she tells him that, oh, I didn't mean it like as an actual date. I was using you as a decoy because at the time they were in the corridor, they were also in front of the sports field. And at that time, Suwano's ex was running through the sports field, and she wanted to like use Tsubaki as like, hey, I'm talking to this other dude, so you should leave me alone.
What's with all of these girls using Tsubaki to get over, or not over, but like make their ex jealous?
Not jealous, but disinterested.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. But Tsubaki's apparently got more game than you.
True. Also, stop that clicking.
Oh, is it audible?
Yeah.
My bad. Sorry, y'all. I don't think I'll be able to edit that out, so I'm just gonna stop that. Yeah, so that's basically the end of Suwano for now. She comes back later in this arc. Not arc. Later in this volume. Say no, arc.
It's whole arc.
Yep, it's the whole arc to Suwano. So now we cut back to Uribe and Tsubaki after class one day to go do their routine. But there's a truck in their normal spot, so they go into the brush, which again is just the wooded area that they call the park. Although I'm pretty sure it's attached to the park, but we're just gonna call it the brush.
I think it's attached to the park. It's like it has the bench, right? That they always sit on.
I think so.
Yeah.
And the vending machine, I think. Yeah. So while they're there, a cat comes out, and Uribe's like, "Oh my god, I love cats!" So she starts playing with the cat again, and Tsubaki does make a connection that that Uribe basically has cat eyes. So he's like, you know what, I like cats too. But there's another reason why he says that. Because while Uribe is playing with that cat gets a little frisky with Uribe and gives her a Frenchie.
Love.
So now Uribe's like, let me see that cat, because, you know, I just love cats so much. So he tries to get a little frisky with the cat, because he wants an indirect kiss.
Yeah. As everyone wants from a cat.
Yeah, but instead that cat just claws him in the face.
Reasonable. I would too.
Cats don't like Tsubaki, apparently. So after this, we find out that Ueno has got a thing for Tsubaki's sister.
Who doesn't? She kind of cute.
I don't think she...
I think she's kind of cute.
I'm sorry, but I don't think she's kind of cute. Yeah, so we find out that Ueno has a thing for Tsubaki's sister, but specifically because she's sick and she has a mask on. So, you know, this series was way ahead of its time wearing masks. But he specifically mentions that them being flushed with fever with the glassy look in their eyes equals big sexy time. that looks so sexy.
It equals the big sex. Gotcha.
E.
Oh yeah, sorry. E.
Yep. Which, I mean, I don't really see how that could look attractive, but to each their own, and maybe because it's a manga, it, you know, plays out differently.
True.
But to each their own.
You know, people always like love that vulnerable look. Maybe that's what this is. Who knows?
I don't. Does that equate to a vulnerable look?
I don't know.
So after that, Tsubaki's like, I wonder about that. And then immediately after, the day after, Uribe's got a cold. So she's wearing a mask. And she makes a comment that they're not going to do the routine because her face is a mess and she doesn't want to take off her mask. So when she turns around, Tsubaki just like puts his finger behind her ear to undoes her mask, which I feel like is invading some sort of boundary. But you know what? He did it. And then he gets slapped.
It makes sense.
Yep. But the reason he gets slapped is because she doesn't have her scissors, which I don't think they explain why she doesn't have her scissors.
Ooh.
But basically, it just means that he gets slapped.
Yeah,
and then from there,
to get like shredded to pieces if she had him.
You're right. He would have been done. You know Flat Stanley? He would have been cut up Flat Stanley.
Gotcha.
So after him getting slapped, we move to a quick scene. It's a relatively quick chapter. Basically, it has to do with quote unquote a man's dream. And Zach, let me ask you, what is as a man, what is your dream?
I don't know.
Well, clearly you're not a man then, because according to Mr. Richi Ueshibi, which I definitely butchered his name because I'm not looking at it and I'm trying to go based off memory, a man's dream is to see a girl in an apron but nothing else.
In her naked apron?
Yep, in her naked apron.
Gotcha. Is that your dream, Jared?
No, I can't say it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is. Who knows?
Like, it's enticing.
Is that your dream? If you're a man, is that your dream? Let us know.
You don't have to be a man. Is that your
True.
dream?
Okay, you know what? Is that your dream? Let us know. I'm gonna skip the spring chapter just because it's one chapter and it just has to do with basically Urube's not conventional. She's not like them other girls.
But we
I'm
knew
gonna just
that.
skip that to save time. Yeah. Okay. So we go back to Suwano now. Like the next two, not the next two, but we have two more chapters that deal with Suwano. So he has to stay after school, or after class again with her to do more class representative things. And while they're together, last time at the date, he's like, "Oh yeah, I have a girlfriend, which is why I can't go with you." But he didn't say who it was. So now she's trying to question him as to who the girlfriend is. And this girl, she wackadoodle, because she steals his key, but then puts his key in her mouth.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm just no longer gonna question all the weird stuff that happens.
I mean, are you saying you don't like to just casually stick metal in your mouth?
True, and you don't know where that's been.
Very true. So
would never happen in 2020.
No, it would not. So he goes to get his key back, and while he's like pulling it out of her mouth, because he has to pull it out of her mouth because she won't give it to him otherwise, his fingers brushes like her lips. So now his finger, very hot. So now his finger is like throbbing with that feeling, which I don't quite get. I don't quite get how
the finger throb.
Yep, the finger throb. So now when Tsubaki is walking home with Urube for the routine, he asks if this time he can stick his finger in her mouth and then do the routine. And Urube's like, why? Because this is not something that they normally do. So she immediately jumps to the fact that he had to stay after school with Suwano and is like, hey, did anything happen? As she readies her scissors. And he immediately tells her what happened, which so stupid. But they do like the shock trip and Urube just falls flat on her face. And he's like, why'd you do that? And she's like, well, you confessed so easily, was not expecting that. So now Tsubaki sticks his finger in her mouth and feels all inside there. And he gets real like descriptive. It's like, ooh, it feels so good and warm and soft. But then he like overstays his welcome in her mouth. So she bites his finger.
Question.
Yes.
Have you had someone bite your finger before?
Yes.
It's kind of enjoyable, yeah?
No.
Really?
No, I don't know what kind of kinky shit you're into, but
no. Might be. I don't know. It's happened a few. Oh, voice crack. Did you hear it? It was great.
Yeah, that was great. Voice crack.
It's happened a few times. It wasn't like a hard just like chomp, but like a little like
a little nibble.
It was like, do it again.
Okay, see.
Sorry. Zach's 2 cents.
Yeah. We don't need your 2 cents. You can have it back.
Thank you.
So after she bites his finger, he's like, now I can't remember the feeling of lip. or how I felt inside. I just feel pain. So now he gets very espresso depresso. Espresso depresso.
Espresso depresso.
Espresso depresso. And he's like, maybe I'll be able to put my finger in her mouth again. Because that's the number one thing you have to think about.
One can only hope. One can have dreams.
Yeah. No, that's not the man's dream, remember?
Oh, you're right. The man's dream is Nike apron.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And now we get into a little more incest-y area.
What?
So Ueno almost catches Tsubaki and Uribe. But at the same time, Uribe just got like her dry cleaning done. So she handed it to Uribe, or not to Uribe. She handed it to Tsubaki because they were getting drinks from the vending machine. But since Ueno was coming, Tsubaki just shoved the uniform in his bag. And then he got kind of stuck with it because Ueno like walked with him home. So while he's at home with her uniform, he takes it out of the plastic to like smell it and hug it, which is
after it comes out of dry cleaning, so it doesn't really have a smell.
So it doesn't really have her scent, but in his mind, he's like, "Ah, yes, this is the uniform that she always wears."
And then he wears it.
No, it's on his table with a drink next to it, so you already know something bad's gonna happen, because his sister knocks on the door, and then he panics, and then he knocks the drink over and spills it on Uribe's freshly dry cleaned uniform. So instead, he steals his sister's uniform to give to Uribe to borrow it until her uniform gets cleaned, which luckily it fits her, because of course it does.
Because clothes just automatically fit in this world.
Yep. Like Spider-Man's suit in Homecoming,
where
how it just like
shrinks.
It's very, it's very baggy, and then he pushes a button and it shrinks. Yeah, that's how clothes work.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
It's one of the supernatural, unsupernatural things in this series.
Yes, sir. So when they're doing the routine, after, for a split second, he sees his sister instead of Uribe. And he's like, and Uribe likes the fit of the uniform a lot better, probably because it's like older, so it's more worn in. But Tsubaki's like, no, you can't keep it, because if we end up kissing, I'm gonna see my sister. And then it shows a frame of Tsubaki hypothetically kissing his sister.
Oh no.
Yup. That's a big no moment.
Biggie ooh.
And now we move into the last main chapter of Volume 4, called Swim Meet.
Yes. Good chapter.
It's a pretty good chapter. So the girls are doing their swim meet, because apparently it's only girls that are allowed to swim, because I don't think the guys have any swim meets during the school year, except for like one, what is it called? Like
co-ed?
Yeah, one co-ed swim meet or swim class. But during the swim class, one of the guys from their class is like on the roof of the building just taking pictures of all the girls in their swimsuits.
Aren't they also like playing soccer at the time, so they keep purposely kicking the ball over to like where the pool is? Or was that a different one?
That was during the first season, which would have been in volumes 1 or 2, which actually I don't think I remember seeing that in the manga, so that might have been an anime only thing.
I feel like I remember something similar happening in the manga when I read it. Maybe I'm just confusing everything.
I'll have to go back and look, because now I'm curious, because I completely forgot about that until you mentioned it, but I don't remember seeing that in the manga.
Uribe like cutting up the like what's it called? The thing blocking you from just being able to see straight into the fence.
Everybody didn't cut anything up.
Oh, I feel like something.
Your mind's going stupid.
Mm.
So anyways, and this is the same little shithead that took pictures of Uribe whenever she had the her hair different. So now he's trying to again sell those pictures, sell the pictures of the girls to all the boys in the class. So Ueno, Mr. Big Jelly, decides to buy all of the pictures because he doesn't want anyone to have the picture of Oka, but he also doesn't want to out himself as dating Oka or being interested in Oka.
And this is the only way.
Yep. So he spends 6,000 yen to buy 20 pictures of girls in swimsuits.
That's like $60.
I think. Let's do the conversion real quick.
Okay. 6,000 Japanese yen to US dollars.
So 6,000 yen is about $55. So this man spent $55 just so people wouldn't have a picture of Oka.
You know, if that isn't commitment, I don't know what is.
If that ain't true love, well, we're all hopeless. Yeah, but the dude who took all the pictures decides to give Tsubaki the picture of Sueno for free because he thinks that's who Tsubaki is interested in. So Tsubaki kind of just shoves the picture in his back pocket and forgets about it. But
My
then,
man. You already know how many mistakes you've made.
yo, he just digging that hole deeper. I don't know why I said bigger. So now him and Uribe stop at the vending machine to get a drink, and this man pulls the same mistake that all of us have made at one point. Well, he's pulling out his wallet with something in his back pocket that isn't in the wallet, and he drops it without noticing.
Yes.
So the picture just falls to the ground, and Uribe's like, "What's that?" So she picks it up, sees it's a picture of Suano, and just shoves it in her pocket because she doesn't want Tsubaki to know that she saw it and that she has it now. So they do their routine for the day, and after it, Tsubaki just feels like a great amount of pressure on his shoulders and just body in general. So obviously Uribe's jealous.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah. So when he goes home, he pulls out his wallet again and realizes that the picture's not there. So he's like, oh crap, Uribe probably saw the picture, is probably jealous, and that's probably why I have this giant weight on my shoulders. So the next day, he tries to explain to her that, like, what happened, and like it means nothing that he had the picture. And then they do their routine. Still feels the weight. So clearly misunderstood, standing, not cleared up.
Yes.
And because Uribe is jealous and like, you know, that like it's kind of like a bond. They both feel that pressure and that weight. It messes with her swimming capabilities. So she's no longer the fastest swimmer, and like her time goes down significantly. And Tsubaki sees this, or more like Sueno tells him about it. So it's like, I don't want my misunderstanding to negatively impact her swimming capabilities when they're about to have a swim meet, which I think it was a competition like in the class, but I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I remember like Suwano and Uribe like racing for some reason.
Yeah, I think so too.
Trying to show who's superior. We all know, but
we know it's Uribe. We all know. So Tsubaki decides to buy all the pictures from Ueno except for Oka's.
Another
for the same reason.
$55 drop.
Basically another $50 drop because you got to subtract at least one photo.
Mm.
Yeah, so he buys all the pictures, and he gets Uribe's picture. And then after class, he asks Uribe to meet him behind the building. And then he asks her to close her eyes and kisses Sueno's picture, and then does the routine. And then he asks Uribe if anything happened, and she tells him that her heartbeat like sped up a little bit. So it was a little excitement there, a little interesting.
Was it jealousy?
Maybe. And then he does it again, and again asks her to close her eyes, but this time he kisses Uribe's photo. And when he does the routine, it's the only way I can describe it is just whoosh, which is exactly what I wrote down on my
Whoosh
notes.
with like 5 O's, all caps.
Yes, sir. Because she gets very flushed and very much blushing, and heart rate is just pounding. So Uribe asks what he did, And he explains that on the first one, he kissed Suano's picture, but on the second one, he kissed Uribe's picture, or her picture. So that should clear up the misunderstanding about which girl he loves more. Which, cheesy as heck, but we here for it.
I guess. I feel like if like someone did that right, I'd still be like, did you really have to kiss the other photo to make the point?
You gotta make the point somehow.
True. You have to set the baseline,
Very true.
the control.
So Uribe asks him to do it again, but or not do it again entirely, but to kiss her photo again while she's looking. So he does. He thinks it's a little embarrassing, but he does it anyways. But as he's going to kiss her photo, she runs up to him and kisses the other side of the photo. Which I remember I sent you the picture of that, like out of context, and you were just like, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, as an avid fan, this is like a whole get out the horns, air horns, go beep 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 moment. Because like, yeah, because this is a pretty big moment.
This is what we've been waiting for. It's not exactly there yet, but it's like very close.
It's teasing you, and it's a pretty great moment. Just saying.
It really is. That might be the other picture that we're gonna post.
Yeah, we might put that in the show notes as well. And then after this, Uribe leaves to go do the swimming competition, and she beats everyone. She does the best out of everyone because now she's no longer jealous and is extremely happy. So when she's done, she's like, "Where's Tsubaki?"
And he's still there, passed out on the ground.
Yep, this boy, after not even kissing his girlfriend, just passed out of excitement and is now laying on the floor behind the school building.
Someone just walks up just like, the heck happened here?
And that's the end of Volume 4. And that is the end of today's episode.
A lot happened.
Definitely a lot happened in this episode.
The idol arc, the jealousy, the drama.
The 2 indirect kisses. The cat ears.
Yes. The raw bacon.
Yep. So I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode. It's going to be a bit of a long one. Not too much longer than the first episode. But again, hopefully audio quality is a lot better. So y'all enjoyed this one more.
Hopefully y'all made it through and actually watched the whole thing. That would help a lot.
That would be nice. If you want to keep up to date with what we're doing with the episodes, we did make an Instagram and Twitter. It's going to be the same name as the podcast, except drop the. So it's Gym Trash Podcast on both for Instagram and Twitter. So if you want to keep up with us, follow us there. That'd be greatly appreciated. So that way you know when episodes are released.
Jared has a YouTube channel. If y'all want to check that out, I don't know what it is, so have fun finding it.
I do. I'm gonna do something with it, but for now, I'm just also uploading the episodes to YouTube on that channel. So that's another place you can find them if you want to like download the audio.
Jared, how do we find your YouTube channel?
Just look up the episode. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Just look up the episode. I'm sure you'll find it.
Rude.
Sorry, but I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing with that, so I don't want to just out myself a YouTube channel. But yeah, Zach already did that, so if you want to find it, you can. It's not that hard. I already had someone ask if they could download the audio, and I just told them that, and they found it, and 8 people saw it.
Oh,
I got one. Yeah, or 9 people saw it. Sorry, I got 3 likes, 1 comment, and someone subscribed.
Heck yeah. We love the growth.
That's what we call growth. So now we just got to get the Gym Trash Podcast to grow.
Yeah. Hopefully, as Jared said, like our somewhat new setup makes it more pleasing to the ear. Because last episode, boofed.
Yeah, last episode was a big oofy. We're sorry about that. Quality should be better this time. Hopefully you enjoyed it more. Do you have anything to add, Zach, before we close it out?
Not really. Other than like, we don't really know our schedule yet. So, best way to keep up to date is if you're on Spotify, just like follow.
Or like I said, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. I run the
True.
Instagram. Zach runs the Twitter. So if you want to harass one of us specifically, now you know.
Yes, just don't go at me with the "oh, he's a virgin" type thing, and we're good.
Or do.
Maybe just go at Jared. Just like only look at the Instagram.
Please no.
Yes.
But yeah, like you said, we don't really have a schedule. Hopefully, we'll upload the next episode Wednesday to try to keep up a consistent one. But until next time, we've been the Gym Trash Podcast.
Bye.